What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Primetime Carolina, the best damn Panthers podcast you're ever going to find. I'm your host, Tanner Blue, along with Dave LaFave. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Did you have a good week?
I did, man. Had a good week. And personally, maybe not Panthers-wise, maybe not the best week, but I think that's what we're going to get into here.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, yeah, not too bad of a week. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Same old thing, I guess, but
I hear you.
keep it
Well,
moving.
let's cut to the chase, not mess around. Big news this week. I'm just sitting at work, hanging out. It's been a pretty good day. All of a sudden, I see this notification pop up on my phone. 49ers trade up to the third pick do a little swap with the Dolphins. So now the 49ers have the third overall pick in the draft. Miami now has the 12th pick, I believe. But the Dolphins also got the 49ers 22 and 23 first-round picks and a 2022 third-round pick. What were your initial thoughts when you first saw this information pop up?
My initial thoughts were, oh, crap, this is bad because that was supposed to be our spot. Looking at it now, uh, you know, it's basically going to come down to, are the Jets going to take a quarterback, and are they willing to trade that number 2 pick? Because now our chances of trading up are looking pretty bleak.
Yeah, when I first saw the info, obviously I was pissed because everyone had been hyping up this was kind of the spot we were going to try to make a trade for. So that it does put a damper on the quarterback situation. And I've got a very strong opinion about what I think we're going to do, but we'll get on to that a little bit later on. But as far as the Dolphins, real quick, I mean, they have gone from like a laughing stock to this team that's just like accumulated all these picks. They feel like they know what they're doing. They've got a good staff in place. They got good players all the way around. So I mean, kudos to them. I mean,
Yeah.
they're doing what they can do.
I think what I saw said they've turned Laramie Tunsil into like six draft picks now.
Yeah, they need to build a statue of that man in front of the stadium.
I swear. A big gas mask in
So
front of the stadium. Big gas mask.
exactly.
That's what they need.
So that's good for them. As far as the 49ers go, I've seen conflicting stuff about what they might do with that pick. Obviously, we're 99% sure it's going to be a quarterback. Who is going to be the quarterback is the question. I've seen Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. I've even heard, especially on some Panthers forums, like they might be trading up for Mac Jones, which I think would be great because that would give us an opportunity to get who we want to get. But we'll see how that goes. What are your who do you think the 49ers are going to select? Let's say the Jets go QB. Who do you think that they have in mind?
Jets go QB. I'm going to assume the Jets take Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't think Justin Fields is the guy they traded up for. I think they're thinking either Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. So I think there's still a chance there that Fields falls to us at 8. But I also think this has opened the door for Atlanta to take a quarterback if they want to, which I kind of don't think that's where their mind is right now. But it gives them a chance to trade back to somebody who's not us. Someone
Correct.
who's not us jumps into that 4th spot and takes the quarterback we want, and Atlanta gains draft picks. It's like they can really hit a home run there when it comes to screwing us over. So
I agree 100% because it's not so much like I don't really think the Falcons are going to go quarterback. I don't think they are.
yeah,
But there's a lot of teams that could jump them. And let's be real, no one wants to trade with their division rival. So we could give them an all-star deal and they just flat up turn it away because, we're in their division. I think the Jets, while I've thought about it now with this trade going down, I do think they are going to go quarterback. I think the Sam Darnold thing is over. I think they're going to pick Zach Wilson. That's my opinion. And then I think the 49ers, I don't think they're going to take Fields either. I think they're going to go Trey Lance or Mac Jones or probably one of those two. So obviously we know it's going 1, 2, maybe 3. It's probably going to be 3 quarterbacks.
We've got an idea of who's, not
Correct.
sure where, but,
So, and then what we've got Cincinnati at 4, correct? I believe.
Atlanta's at 4, Cincinnati's at
Atlanta's at 4.
5, and I
So
think Detroit's at 6.
okay, so this is where it gets interesting, and like I said, I don't think Atlanta is gonna pick a quarterback. I don't, but I could see them trading down. I could very well see that. I think that they could also go defense as well. I feel like they need help on defense a lot. But if we can get to a spot, let's just say Atlanta stays put, they take someone else, and then you've got a couple other teams in front of us like Detroit and Cincinnati that don't need quarterbacks. If Fields is there, that's a blessing at 8. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. But at the same time, you never know what to expect on draft night. People spend a whole year making mock drafts and they get it wrong after like the 3rd pick. You never know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, trading up is still on the table, but like I said, it's going to be real interesting to see what Atlanta does because I feel like they've got a real good chance to screw us over right here
Yep.
because, we know 1, 2, and 3 are going to be quarterbacks. We're that 4th team who really needs a quarterback, and they have that 4th pick. So they can lock us out. So
Correct.
even if they, trade back and, a quarterback doesn't get taken, or excuse me, they don't take a quarterback's still getting taken at 4. Now, if a quarterback doesn't get taken at 4, I think we're right back in the same boat where we still need to trade up to 5, 6, 7, wherever we can get, so no one else does. So, we'll see. We'll see, but I'm almost starting to think that our quarterback dreams are getting narrowed down quick, and we're gonna have to
I
start looking at some other options, later in the draft or on other rosters.
No, I agree 100%. I've heard a lot of people whenever this trade happened initially, people were like emotional. They're like, all right, we're trading up to the number 2 spot. I'm like, we just can't. I don't think we can give up the stuff to get to number 2. I mean, we could, but it would just be bad for the long term. Unless they knew like this guy that they're going to pick is going to be a bona fide superstar, then by all means, yeah. But I just think that's a little too much to jump up that far. And I'm all about the being risky part, trying to get better, but I just think that's too much. I do like your thoughts on maybe trading up to, maybe in that 5 to 6 range. I feel like we could jump up, even though those teams don't need a quarterback. We could leapfrog and keep the other teams that do
Right.
get
It's like
quarterbacks
boxing
away.
out in basketball. You want to keep the other guys away, even if you can't get the rebound.
Correct. So I think we could jump up 2 or 3 spots without giving up much. I mean, what, a 3rd round, 2nd round pick? I could live with that any day of the week.
Yeah.
So if that's a route they do want to go, then I'm all for that. And I still think after the 4th or 5th pick, I still think there's going to be one of the big 4 quarterbacks left. I just drafts never seem to go the way people think they're going to go, and something is going to happen. And I just think one of those guys will be left, possibly for us to pick, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you want to hold on to that hope that we'll still be able to get Justin Fields. And who knows? I've seen that too. Those rumors that maybe the 49ers traded up for Mac Jones, which sounds absolutely insane, but we're not NFL GMs. They know what they're doing a lot more than we do.
Yep.
So we're just here speculating. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We'll see what happens, but our options are quickly changing, and the dreams are not what they used to be. I don't think, or
It went from a
the
great
realistic
offseason.
dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the Mac Jones thing, I mean, I think we've both made it kind of clear what we think he might be at the next level, but for all means, I mean, we don't know. We're not GMs. He could be great. Could even fall to the Panthers and they might pick him. And, I'm at the point where if they do something, I have to be okay with it because it's better than what we have now. So if they go, let's say the top 4 guys go, and then they're like, well, hey, we have Mac Jones, we like him, we think it's going to be good. I mean, I can't say no. I mean, what does anybody else know? I mean, the guy can end up being good. I mean, you never know.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because then once you get to that point, it's like this is a guy none of us wanted. So if the team takes him, they take him. You start to wonder if you'd rather just wait it out another year But, I'm not sure we're bad enough to be a top 5 pick next year. So,
This is my whole opinion on what I think we should do. I think if they can get a good deal and one of the guys maybe falls a pick or two and they can trade up a spot or two, then by all means do it. But I'm just gonna take it from the standpoint that we stay with the 8th pick, the top 4 gone. I know I said this last week, but I'm gonna have to change my mind a bit, obviously with new information. I think the Panthers need to call the Jets for Sam Darnold.
yeah.
Because there is just no way in hell that we could come back another season with Teddy Bridgewater. After what they have publicly said about the man and how they felt, you just can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't. So I think, I mean, Darnold's had like good and bad moments, but it's better than what we have now. Take a 3rd round pick for the guy. He's had his good moments. He's been on one of the worst teams ever, organizations ever. Like, just take a 3rd for the guy and just see what happens. You never know. He could end up being a pretty solid quarterback. I mean, why not? And if he doesn't work, oh well, we'll move on and we'll go to next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I'm on record, going back before, the season even ended, that if, all our other options were off the table when it came down to Sam Darnold, I wasn't against it. He's still young. He's a good player. First time I saw him play in college, I was like, dude, this guy's got it. Turns out he was just super hot that game, but, that shows that he has it in him. There are things about him that I like. He's definitely made his share of plays in the league. So we'll see. I mean, it's so different of a conversation than we were having a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And it's like, you hate to feel like, look at these Panthers fans settling now, trying to talk themselves into Sam Darnold when, 2 weeks ago we were talking about Deshaun Watson. So,
Yeah. But I mean, things do change. I think a lot of people tried to fault the Panthers for. I was reading online, but like, this is what happens. You put all your eggs in one basket. You try to go all in for Deshaun, but at the same time, isn't that what people wanted for us to be aggressive and go after him? And then we did that. And it's not. We can't control the other outside factors. I mean, they tried to do that, and then you've got people saying, same old Panthers, we're just going to be complacent and this and that. I'm like, man, like, we all knew last year wasn't going to be a good year. We've got good young talent. We've got a good coaching staff. We've got an owner who has shown he wants to do what it takes to get better. It's going to take time. It's not just going to happen overnight. And I wish people would just be a little bit more patient with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a boom or bust scenario for us, and it was a bust. So, looking at some of the other options, going away from Sam Darnold a little bit, who, like I said, I don't hate the idea. There's a few other options that are, I guess, theoretical, somewhat on the table that I don't dislike anymore, I guess. If anything, I feel about the same. Other than Gardner Minshew. That's kind of the guy that if I had to choose my best worst case scenario, I think I would roll with him because he kind of got the short end of the stick. He showed he could play in 2019. He made some nice plays out there, and he did in 2022. But whenever the Jaguars were given the opportunity to tank for Trevor, and they did it the right way, Panthers, whenever they tanked for Trevor, obviously he got shoved out the door. So I think he really got the short end of the stick last year. I think they were trying to lose games. I think you could get him for probably a 5th or 6th round pick. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of him, but I think he's a little bit better than what I originally thought he would be. So, I mean, you have to look at your options and do what you think is going to be the best thing. I mean, he's certainly someone that you can look at. I don't see the issue with that at all. I mean, we have to do something. And the one thing we can't do is do nothing. And I don't think we will. I think we will come to some sort of resolution. I mean, we're going to know here in a couple of weeks what we're going to do. But I think it's either going to be obviously one of the guys falls, we're set. But if there's two guys I'm looking at that if we trade on that are on different teams, it's going to be Darnold and it's going to be Minshew. I think so. And then you get later on to the draft, there's a couple other guys you think about. I mean, it could be a scenario where maybe they end up pulling like the Redskins did a couple years ago. They maybe take a quarterback high and then a quarterback later on in the round. You never know. So they could do that. I mean, there's guys like Kyle Trask. What's the dude's name from Navy or Army? Which Kellen Munn, is that his name?
Kyle Munn. Yeah, Kellen Munn.
Kyle Munn.
Yeah,
Kellen
no,
Munn.
Kellen's
Okay.
right, I believe,
Yeah.
from Texas A&M.
Yeah, okay. So you got him, and then there's a couple other guys. I mean, there's guys that you can look at. They're going to come away with one of these guys at some point. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. I forgot this. I saw something, and I think it's a smokescreen. I think it's BS, but it says that the Eagles weren't sold on Jalen Hurts, so that could be a possible trade as well. Now, I'm not sure I buy that. Being that the Eagles just traded their 6th pick, I think they traded back to 12-ish range. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess it could be true that, they thought we could trade back and still get maybe like a Mac Jones. I don't really buy it, but, if that is an option, that's another way we could go. What do you think about him?
No, I've heard that rumor as well, and I also buy the smokescreen thing because, I mean, they just traded Carson Wentz.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say they trade Jalen Hurts, and then what if all the quarterbacks they want are gone before they pick? They've literally just screwed up completely. So I don't buy that at all. I think they're going to stick with him. He's someone that I would trade for, absolutely. I mean, he looked pretty promising last year. Do I know if he's going to be, like, great? I don't know, but he looked pretty solid. I like my chances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on that too if that's something that they want to do. It's really funny because, like, after I got the news about this, I was really bummed. One of my good friends I worked with, like 30 minutes later, like the news came through the Eagles, and he's a big Eagles fan. He was pissed. He was melting down.
Was he thinking quarterback as well?
No, he wants a receiver at number 6. So
yeah.
he was like,
I have an Eagles friend at work too who told me they wanted a receiver too. So
yeah, and this is a good draft to get one high. So I don't know what they were thinking, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I think they probably assume there's some good offensive linemen there, some good corners there, some good receivers there, are obviously the quarterback. So they probably assume they could trade back and still get a good player.
Okay.
Another guy, I guess we'll call this, I don't know, what's the last letter of the alphabet, Z? We'll call this plan Y. I don't think by any means he'll be ready to be an NFL starter next year. But as a project, I like Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest. He seems to have all the, physical traits you look for. He's a big guy. He's got a big arm. He, from what I saw at the Pro Bowl, didn't look so good. But it's kind of like there's a question mark there that you wonder, if he has reached his full potential and if he's still, climbing that ladder and he hasn't got there yet, what could that potential be? So he's at least a little enticing. So, I don't know.
No, I agree 100%. He's someone that I think that they would have their eye on in the later rounds. And
yeah, I think we could draft him in the later rounds with eyes.
Yeah, I do too. But at the same time, I was also in the camp. I was one of the few people that liked the Will Grier pick, and that hasn't really worked out either. So,
yeah. Well, that was my plan Z1 is just let Will Grier go out there.
Just let him play. I mean,
we've spent a draft pick on him, and he's got no, opportunities to go out there and play. Well, he's had a couple, but we won't count those because, those are the end of the year. But
correct.
We'll see what he has become over the last couple years. He posted a video, I think, last week of him working out with Christian McCaffrey. So maybe they know that he's the future. We just don't know about it yet.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. And I like the pick originally when it happened. I was like, you don't know what's going to happen with Cam Newton. They're picking a guy for insurance. Why not? I know he's played a little bit. I know he played that game last year against the Colts, but we were on like a 7-8 game losing streak. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's what I think it was week like 16 and 17 or something. 15 and 16. It was like we were already done, and they just threw him out there to die.
Exactly. So, that could be an option. I'd like to see him at least get a chance. But I just think there's absolutely zero chance that they will come back next year with Teddy Bridgewater starting quarterback. I would be shocked. And I think that would piss off the whole fan base. And I think they would lose a lot of, I'm not going to say respect, but,
They would lose a lot of the enthusiasm that they've gained with this new coaching staff, especially when and God, it's like they stress how they want to build this winning culture, and it's like if that's what you're doing, there's no way you can bring that guy back because he showed he's not a winner last year.
No, and they've basically said that publicly without actually saying it.
Right.
So I mean, even Luke Kuechly the other week, he did like a video with a scouting thing, and he was like, "Yeah, he's a really good guy, but he knows what he has to do. He has to win." So, I mean, there you go. That's all you need to hear about that.
Yeah.
I wanted to run through a couple draft scenarios here real quick.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, all the good quarterbacks we want are taken, the top 4, say they don't really care about Mac Jones. If they are there at 8, now we don't know who's going to be the fill-in positions other than the quarterbacks, but if they're there at 8, are you going to take the best player available, or are you going to say, hey, let's trade down and get even more picks and build this team up? What's your opinion on that?
What I would do is trade back.
Trade back.
Yeah. But, for the sake of argument, let's say they pick somebody. Mm-hmm. I think it's, reasonable to say Sewell, is that how you say it? The Oregon tackle. I mean, he might be there. And the other guy, Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, could be a way to go if you want to go offensive lineman. There's the 3 top corners, Surtain, J.C. Horn, and Farley. Is that his last name? Farley, I think.
Yep, I believe so.
I think I like Farley and Horn more than I like Surtain, but I guess I'd be happy with any of the 3. But the guy I really like is Kyle Pitts, if he was there. I love Kyle Pitts. He reminds me of like Devin Funchess if he didn't move like a robot and was like had real athleticism, like kind of like he's almost like Terrell Owens, like a tight end. Like I love Kyle Pitts, but we have so many needs, it's hard to justify taking a tight end right there.
Yeah.
So if we were picking there, those are some of the guys I'd probably like us to get. But if it was my choice, I would say trade back because we can use all the good players we could possibly get. So that's what I would trade back.
I could see us in a position of trading back. I know, like, on draft night, it's not a fun thing to see because you're excited and you're like, oh, why are we trading back? But I'll go through each one. If they stay put at 8, if one of those left tackles is there, you got to go. Because I don't care who you got at quarterback next year. If you have a chance to get a franchise left tackle, which we have not had in ages, you got to do it. No matter who's at quarterback, you got to pick one of those guys. Now, I don't know. I think the Bengals are going to take one of them. I think
they will too.
So I think that if one of those guys are there, that would be my pick if we stay at number 8. I mean, hey, let's beef up our O-line. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not sexy or fun, but it's the right thing to do. If they do trade back, I could totally see that as well. There's a lot of holes to fill. If they do trade back, I think this is a deep class in terms of linemen and corners. So that could definitely be a route to go. I do like Kyle Pitts as well, but I do think it would be hard for us to say we don't even know who the quarterback is, and we just have a loaded offense with no one to protect. So that would be fun, but I just don't think they're going to go that route. I mean, they could, but I don't think they will. But if they do trade back, there are definitely a lot of guys in the secondary and guys on the line that I'd love to have. I mean, there's two routes you can go. You can either get your quarterback first and build around him, or you just build the whole team and then you get your quarterback at some point. And that seems to be the route we might have to go.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. And that's kind of what the Colts have just done the last couple years. And
Yeah.
last year they threw Rivers out there. He was pretty good. And then this year they brought in Wentz. We'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan, of a team who's been throwing just trash out there at quarterback for, going on 2 years or whatever it's been. I mean, it's very difficult to watch them solve other problems on the roster. But, they said when they hired this new regime to come in here and rebuild this thing, it was going to be a process. So, if that's the route they choose to go, they want to build up the roster around the quarterback. And then when they get the opportunity to fill that void, we'll see what happens. But
I'm in the same mindset where it's like one of those things. It's like the giant elephant in the room. It's like, yeah, our team's good, but we don't have a quarterback. Like it's kind of like when the Chiefs whenever they had Alex Smith, it was like, dude, they have a really, really good roster. If only they had a better quarterback. And then when they got a better quarterback, they're amazing. So it's one of those things. It's not the most fun thing to go through because it's like you're always like it's a glaring hole. But at the same time, you can't really force anything. And I mean, let's say for instance, they stick it out, they roll with Teddy for another year, or they trade for one of these guys that doesn't work out. What about come week 8, come trade deadline, come next season? We don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. I think we're still in that race, no matter how long it's going to take. It could take up to a year. He might even play this year, might get suspended. I don't know. But what do you think about that? Let's say they build up the roster and they just say, screw it next year, and then they try to go all in on them again.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say it that way because it's kind of like if it's going to happen, that's how it's going to happen. You're going to have to move on with life, while that situation plays out and just see what happens. And, it could come out like everything's fine. It was all just, a big slander campaign to ruin his name and make no one want to trade for him, which, with the way that situation is, you don't want to put it that way, I guess. And
Correct.
You want to side, you want to err on the side of caution with the way you look at it. You don't want to sit there and say, he could, nothing could happen and they could all be lying because, that's probably the worst thing you could say. Anyway, whenever that's done playing out, we could be right there. He could be available, and it could all work out where we got to keep our draft pick. Maybe there's situations, he's so sick of them, they're so sick of him, they trade him for, peanuts compared to what they wanted in the first place.
Exactly.
It's just you gotta play the cards the way they're dealt. Right now we've been dealt a pretty bad hand, and all we can do is move forward with it.
Yeah, I think kind of like you said, you have to move on with life. I think they need to do the best they can with what they have, but I think they're definitely going to keep their eyes open on that, see whatever happens. Because let's say we're going into he hasn't played, he's been suspended and this and that, and then whatever happens. He's allowed to come back come trade deadline. Panthers aren't doing that hot. You know what? Let's go ahead and trade for the guy now, or they could wait until next season to do it. I mean, there's a couple options they could go. I think they need to figure out what they want to do now and then just keep their eyes open on that and see what could happen. But I think it's still an option, but we'll see.
Yeah, that situation is so bizarre right now that it's like you can't even look at it and wonder what the outcome's going to be as far
Yeah.
as, charges, suspensions, will he ever play again? Will he
Yeah.
play week 1 next year? I mean, that's just going to have to be what it is for a while. We're just going to have to, focus on building our team.
Correct. So I think my general feeling is that even though we're not in the position to get the quarterback, I I think a lot of people are getting caught up in the Panthers are the same old same old. They're going to be 7-9 stuck in a rut. But there's a difference between to me, there's a difference between Ron Rivera 7-9, where it's just like, screw it, we'll be 7-9, I don't care, versus Matt Rule's 7-9, where it's like we're trying to do this the right way, and we just happen to be 7-9 because that is what the best that we could do. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no, totally. There's a big difference between 7-9 and, that being your team, and 7-9 and being a young team on the come up.
exactly. So I think that even if we aren't all that great next year and we still have a really good team except for quarterback, I mean, I don't buy the whole doom and gloom that people were talking about. Oh, we're not going to have a quarterback. Like, yeah, it sucks. We know we need a quarterback, but it's not like I don't feel like a couple of years ago, it's like we suck and all our players are retiring. We have nothing going right for us and we have a lame duck coaching staff. Now, at least we've got good young guys. We've got a good coaching staff. I mean, we're going to get somewhere eventually.
Yeah, and I think because we were in so many games last year that we probably shouldn't have been in, and we kind of outperformed, who we were as a team. I think people forget, like, this is a full-blown rebuild right now.
Yeah.
Our team overachieved last year. They should have won, 1, 2, or 3 games probably. And
Yeah.
I know I've already said this, but I think the coaching staff did not think Teddy would win them 5 games last year. I said 6 last week, by the way. I'm correcting myself. 5 games. And that's kind of the first thing that's gone wrong for them is they accidentally put themselves out of position to draft a franchise quarterback, because I think that's kind of what they were aiming to do here. So, but people got to remember it's a full-blown rebuild.
Exactly. I agree with you in the fact that I think they didn't think they would be that good. I mean, obviously they're not going to say that publicly, but we were if we had a Teddy wins us a couple clutch games next year, like we're like a wild card team. Like we were in every single game. We should have beat the Chiefs, team that just went to the Super Bowl. So I mean, they were in a lot of games. In terms of Teddy, I think you're right. They got him, and they're like, I don't think it's going to be that long, and I don't think he's going to win that many games. They might have just won one or too many games. I know people keep talking about, oh, how could we win the? Why do we win the Washington football game? But they're doing the best they can. I like the direction things are going. We might not be in the best spot for a quarterback, but in a couple weeks we could be sitting here saying, "Oh my gosh, we just drafted Justin Fields. I'm hyped.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it." I mean, you never know.
Yeah, and I think I guess we can hold on to hope a little bit. There's definitely still a possibility we get a good quarterback. Still a good chance, or not a good chance, I would say, but there's still a chance we could get one of the guys we want. And like we said before, the Jets, they might trade that pick. We don't know what's going on with them, so I I would say the best case scenario for us right now is, control what we can control, go find a quarterback who's not Teddy Bridgewater, and, come out next year swinging and, see what we can do. Eventually, hopefully we'll find somebody to fill that spot.
Exactly. And I think the last thing I'll say about it is that I think the best thing we can do is for right now, stay where we are. I don't have a problem going up a spot or two. Depends on what the Falcons want to do. I don't want to go up to the Jets pick. I just think it's a way too much, but they could, but they might. I think the best thing we can do is just kind of stay where we're at within that 8 to 6 range. If a guy falls, great. If not, let's take a chance on a Darnold. Let's take a chance on a Minshew for a year. Let's see what happens. And then let's just take the best player we can. Because no matter what, if we stay at 8, we're going to get a damn good player. And you can't complain about that. So
All right. So worst case scenario is we're rocking with Teddy next year.
Yes. Then I will be pissed. Then I will be like, okay, everything every good thing I said about you in my podcast, I take it back. Because I just don't think that's gonna happen. I just can't see it. But never say never. It's the Panthers, but still, I don't
Yeah.
see that happening.
Yeah. So let's say best realistic scenario is, I guess Justin Fields falls to us, or we trade up to,
Mhm.
5 and get him.
That to me, either him or Trey Lance.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way Zach Wilson will be there.
I don't think Trey Lance makes it out of top 4.
He might not. I think honestly, Fields, his stock has probably for some reason gone down the most in the past couple of weeks, but I feel like
Yeah.
he's been severely underrated. But I think he would be the quarterback that falls. And if he does, that's best case scenario. And then obviously worst case scenario coming back with Teddy. But middle case scenario, we
Yeah.
trade for a guy that's on a roster and we just see what happens.
So I guess you would say our best likely scenario would be trade for Sam Darnold.
Yes, right now I think that would be the best case scenario. And if you watch our last episode, you'd be like, "Wow, Tanner's such a hypocrite." But things change.
No, things change a lot in a week.
Yeah, I think that would be because the guy's he's still young. He's been on a terrible team. He's made some plays. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's had a career resurgence. Not saying that he's the best quarterback ever, but I mean he's playing a lot better than he was.
Right. Well, that's an example of what can happen if you put a guy in the right spot. And
Yeah.
our system is very QB friendly. I mean, you saw Teddy have to most people who don't watch the Panthers play, Teddy had a good season last year because they look at the stats. Oh, he threw for 3,600 yards. He scored 21 touchdowns or whatever. It looks good on paper.
Correct.
But if you're watching the game, you know that he did nothing to help us win. Nope. So, our system is QB friendly.
Exactly. And let's say we trade for a guy, we stay at number 8, we pick a left tackle, pick a corner, pick whoever, tight end. If I'm a quarterback and we have Christian McCaffrey, you've got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, maybe a lineman, and then you've got to promise a defense. That's about as good of a situation you're going to get into.
Yeah.
Being traded. So.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Joe Brady is an attractive piece for a quarterback as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that's a good spot for anybody. So I think no matter what, we're gonna do the right thing. I think we'll be fine. Just we'll see.
Yeah.
Regarding our team, Mike Davis, we didn't mention this last week. Did that happen after?
No, I think it happened since last week. I think it happened on like Monday or Tuesday.
He signs with the Falcons. It's going to be their new running back. It sucks because I really, really like Mike Davis. I did think he would. I kind of felt like he was probably going to get picked up by somebody because he had a really good year last year with McCaffrey being out. It just sucks to see him go to the Falcons. What are your thoughts on him going to Atlanta? What do you think he's going to do?
Yeah. My thoughts, were a lot like yours. I thought, someone would probably pick him up. But the thing that kind of bothered me about it is it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was like two years for $5 million, I think, something like.
Yeah, it wasn't much at all.
No. And it's like, well, we couldn't afford to give him that. He had a good year last year. He had 1,000 yards. He's a great compliment to Christian McCaffrey. But then I take a step back and it's like, all right, well, I guess we have enough money tied up in the running back position, and he probably wanted to go somewhere where he didn't have to share the ball with Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it does suck that he picked a division rival. I think he's a Atlanta area guy. I'm not sure, but I think that's kind of his hometown team.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll do well, in that offense. It's a good offense to play in. Todd Gurley last year looked like he was running with half a leg, and he still put up numbers. He scored touchdowns. I mean, I
No,
couldn't
you're
believe
right.
how slow he looked compared to the explosive player that he used to be, and he was still doing well in that offense. So,
I mean, that one game we played him, he absolutely gashed us. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm not surprised. Yeah, it does suck. Whatever, despite that happening, one thing the Panthers cannot lose sight of is they need to come in next year with someone that is going to play a decent amount at the backup running back position because we cannot have McCaffrey going out there for 5 million touches a game. You just can't do it. The guy, he finally got injured for the first time last year twice. Not saying that was why, but you got to be smart with the guy. And I think I know I like Reggie Bonifant a lot. Is he still on the team? He's probably still on the team. I don't
yeah.
think
As
he
far as I
is.
know,
Okay. I think he was really, really good last year. He ended up getting hurt, but he was really, really good when he got in the game. So I like to see him get some reps, or if they find someone else to bring in. I just want them to find a change of pace back, get 8, like 5 to 8 touches a game. Just give McCaffrey a break. He can't do everything.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that last full year he played where he had the 1,000, I mean, he was having, 30, 35 touches game. It's just, that's too much for one guy. So, yeah, I mean, they do need to get the ball out of his hands. I know I'm kind of in the minority with this, as far as Panthers fans go. I'm not crazy about Reggie Bonifant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really even know why, but he's not really the guy I would want as number 2. But that being said, maybe that's why they let Mike Davis go. Like we said before, they know more than we know. So, maybe they
Exactly.
feel like he's ready to step up into that role. And of course we got the draft coming up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, they could take a running back later. I mean, I know a couple years ago they took the kid from Florida, Scarlett. I know that didn't really pan out. He didn't really get to
Yeah.
play.
I liked him
But
too.
yeah, so I think they'll do something. But as long as they just give somebody else a chance to just relieve that guy of some of the pressure, I think that'd be good. So yeah, regarding that, it does suck that he's going to another team, but we'll see. And we're gonna play him twice a year.
Like
So
to see Alex Armagh go too to the Saints.
yeah, that it's weird because I feel like we were the only team that really still had a fullback. And the
Right.
last memory I have of him, what was it last year against I think it was Oakland, the home opener or whatever,
Yeah.
whenever they gave him the ball on like
Fourth and
fourth
one.
and short.
Yep.
And you couldn't after that I was like
Game on the line. I mean, that wasn't even really a good call to begin with. But
No, it was
that's
not. It
a
was
that's a
terrible.
whole nother discussion, I guess. I think, but after that, it's like they really didn't use him much. I mean, it's not our offense isn't really a fullback type of offense like it was when we
Yeah.
had Ron Rivera and Shula and Norv Turner. So
What are regarding the one guy there that's on your wall there? What are your thoughts on the Patriots giving Cam another shot, another year, and
yeah.
them spending the most money in free agency out of anybody, which is completely out of what they usually do? What are your thoughts on him and seeing what he might do next year?
My initial thoughts are this is awesome because Cam's been in this league for 10 years and the Panthers wouldn't build anything decent around him and the Patriots certainly didn't last year. So finally someone's putting some decent players around him so he can go out there and ball the way we know he can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little I guess weary that they could bring in a quarterback, whether it be in the draft, probably in the draft.
Yeah.
Even if not to start this year, just even if they get the quarterback as a backup, I know a lot of those Patriots fans who are as spoiled as they could possibly be are calling for Cam, anyone standing behind Cam to go in and play, which
Yeah.
is wild, as horrible as Stidham was last year when he came in for Cam. You would think that would have been enough for them to see, oh, wow, it's not the quarterback that's making this offense suck. So, my initial thoughts are that's awesome. I can't wait to see, what Cam can do. Because
Yeah.
in Carolina, I mean, other than Greg Olson, for most of his time here, he never really had anyone to throw to. What are
I
your
think
thoughts?
that's been the story of his whole career. Is there anybody else that's going to step up and help me? Um,
Yeah.
even the Super Bowl run had no one other than Greg Olson. So, but no, I was shocked that they re-signed him. I honestly thought he was probably just going to retire. Maybe that was my opinion.
Did you?
I didn't want him to do that. I didn't think New England would bring him back. He's not bad enough to not be a starter, but he's not good enough. I couldn't see him being a backup. It's Cam Newton's not going to be your backup quarterback. It's just not going to work. Um, but I am glad because I know, like you, I'm a big Cam supporter, big Cam fan. I do think it was the right thing to do to move on, but I still support him in everything he does. Hey, the guy's finally got some weapons in his like 11th year. Let's see what happens. I know my girlfriend and her family, they're big Patriots fans, and they support Cam. They like him a lot. So when he does well, I enjoy it. So I hope he does well. I know it just seems like every year he gets a bad rap. He gets hurt. He gets COVID. And it's always something with the guy. So he's just had a bad run of luck the past couple of years. Let's just hope that this is the year where he can stay healthy and just put together a good season.
Yeah. Well, you look in those first couple games, four, however many games or whatever, that he was awesome. I mean,
No, he was really good.
Out. And then Edelman got hurt, and people don't talk about that. That was the only decent receiver on their whole offense was Edelman, and he was gone. And their next best receiver was Myers, who was a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it was last year. I think it was in like the first 3 or 4 weeks. They played in Seattle. I think it was Sunday night.
Yeah.
When I watched him play, I said, "Oh shit, the Panthers messed up."
Yeah.
Because he
was outstanding that game.
Amazing. And I was like, wow, we messed up.
Yeah. That was one of his better games he's ever played.
Yeah. He was great that game. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope he does well. Over on the Patriots. And this when you were talking, it kind of brought up another point to me. So the 49ers are probably going to draft a quarterback. That's going to leave Jimmy Garoppolo on the outs. What are your thoughts on him? I know he's a big contract, but what are your thoughts on him being an option?
For us? Oh,
yes.
I haven't even thought of that. I've never been crazy about him. I've never been a big fan of his. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be better or worse than some of these other options. If it was put up against, Minshew or Darnold, I'd still probably rather have those guys first.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I think I'm not sure what the contract details are, but we would be taking on some money there. He's okay. I think when he was in New England with his little stint, he looked a lot better than he might be. And then I think whenever he was on the 49ers, he was a little bit better than people gave him credit for. But at the same time, there were a couple you could see, and that's the thing about the 49ers is they have a smart front office. They could see okay, maybe this guy isn't all that we need. And I think they realize that, and that's why they're in the position they're in now to make a trade like this. And that's good on them because they realize that pretty early. But I don't think we would do that, but that's just something I thought of. I've seen it brought up. I do think he'll probably be on maybe another team next year. I can't see the 49ers picking a quarterback and then having the guy sit for a year. So,
yeah, I've never been a big Garoppolo guy. I feel like he's kind of the opposite of Cam Newton, to where he's just been put in good situations where it's been hard for him to fail.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't love that if we did that.
Yeah. I don't think they will. It's just something that I thought about while we were.
Yeah, that hasn't even crossed my mind at all.
Yeah.
I had heard his name a lot, and that's kind of what made me think that about Cam, as far as, are these players really for him to use this year?
Yeah.
A lot of Patriots fans have been calling for them to trade and get Garoppolo back. But they said today, I think the 49ers said they weren't trading, or the Patriots weren't. I think the Patriots said they weren't going to pursue him anymore.
Correct.
So
I don't know. That would be kind of weird on their end to do that. I don't think they're going to trade back from either. I just think, they've already spent a boatload of money in free agency. They would be taking on even more cap, and they just re-signed Cam. At this point in their careers, it's not like, oh, one of them is a significant upgrade from the other. I'd rather take my chances with Cam Newton. That's maybe I'm
yeah,
biased,
for
but
sure.
that's just my opinion.
And I think Bill Belichick really likes Cam. I feel like he kind of sees what a lot of us see, and that's that he's never really been put in a great situation to succeed, and he's still had all the success he's had.
Yeah.
And you look at Cam, he does miss some throws, but if you watch any quarterback play, they miss throws. But for whatever reason, when it's Cam Newton, people point at those couple missed throws in a game and they will not let go. Some of the throws are a little, are high. Maybe that makes him a little uglier. He's not always throwing with the best form. Maybe that, messes up a little bit. But people, I don't know what it is. Quarterbacks miss throws all the time. I counted in the Super Bowl watching Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And in the first half, I counted 5 missed throws to open guys. So how come those guys can miss 5 throws and a half, but when it's Cam Newton missing 2 or 3 in a game, it's a big deal? I don't know. It's weird.
Listen, I watched a lot of Bucks games last year because they were on TV a lot. I know Tom Brady's old, but there were a lot of throws I was like, I know they won the Super Bowl, but he made a lot of throws last year that were putrid, god awful.
Right. Right.
So,
And that's the difference. He was in a great situation. He was in a
oh
great
yeah,
offense. Cam Newton was in a horrible offense, a horrible situation. But anytime he
exactly.
missed a throw, it was the end of the world because he couldn't connect with, Demir Bird and 2 tight ends who no one knows their names because they've never caught an NFL pass.
Exactly. And I just think a lot of fans they are starting to see, wow, we actually had it good with the quarterback. We
Yeah.
just never put anything around him. I think if we were in the situation where we had the offense we had now with like a prime Cam Newton, I mean, we'd be competing for a Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it would look Chiefs-like. It would be
yeah, exactly.
unstoppable.
So, but you're saying about being in a good situation. I mean, Sam Darnold, for instance, never really been in a good situation. I mean, you put him with two number ones, the best running back in football. You have a couple linemen added. Like, I mean, he could be pretty good. You don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. I don't hate the idea of getting Sam Darnold. There are other things I'd like to see us do instead, but if that was the situation, I would not hate that because he's never had the opportunity to, really succeed. He's been in a bad situation since the day he got drafted. And I think our offense can help a quarterback out a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the main reasons, like obviously last week where I was so down on it, is just because I was still in the mindset that we were going to trade up. So I was like, okay, why would we get him when we can just trade up and get someone else? So now that that's out the window, it kind of makes me step back and think, okay, well, maybe they could give this guy a shot. So,
Yeah, no, I totally understand the difference in what you were saying last week and what you're saying this week. I mean, last week was a completely different scenario from where we are now.
yeah,
And I don't we'll see. We'll see. I'm not against it at all.
I agree. I think this year, even though we still don't know what we're going to do, even now we know that the 49ers have traded for what we thought would be our spot. I'm still very hyped for the draft this year. I've probably more hyped for this draft than in a couple of years. I mean, looking back on your history as being a fan, what pick in the draft, has made you like, why did we pick this guy? And then you were completely wrong about it. Because I know of one, a really, really good guy.
Is it Luke Kuechly?
He is. I'll never forget. I was
No.
at my dad's house and we were watching the draft. I think we had like the ninth pick or something. And they're like, Luke Kuechly. I was like, why did we pick a linebacker? Like, we've got John Beeson. Like, I knew he was hurt a lot, but I was like, I don't understand. Wow, was I wrong?
Yeah. No, that was a very popular opinion at the time because at the time we had John Beeson,
Mhm.
Thomas Davis, and we
Yep.
also had James Anderson, who had just had one of the highest tackle
Yep.
seasons
He had
in
100
franchise history.
tackles
I
that
think
year.
he
Yeah.
set the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you weren't alone. A lot of people were like, "Why do we do this?" And then of course, Thomas. I don't even want to say it, but Thomas Davis tore his ACL like almost immediately, and was like, "Thank God we drafted a linebacker."
Yeah. It's actually funny because the first couple games that season, they had him playing outside. And a lot of people were like, see, this guy's really not that good.
Yeah.
And then once they moved him on the inside, it was a completely different ball game.
Oh no, that's what it was. It was John Beeson tore his ACL. That's why I moved
Correct.
inside. I think Thomas Davis might have a couple games later though. I think they did the first couple games. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know
And it
John
was
Beeson did
just,
though.
and it completely took off. And then another couple times this is a funny one. Back, this was probably 2006, 2007. I was once again at my dad's house watching the draft, and I remember we drafted Dwayne Jarrett, and I was pumped because I thought he was going to be an absolute beast. I watched him in college. I was like, "This is great. We need a receiver," because all we
Yeah.
had was Steve Smith at the time, and had so high hopes for that guy, and it just never worked out. That was a big disappointment for me.
No, yeah. Everyone was. I remember, man. Everybody was hyped about him. People were buying
Oh
his
yeah,
jersey. He hadn't caught a pass yet. I mean,
I know.
everybody was hyped. I don't know if you would remember this, but at the draft, Keyshawn Johnson was. They had him as an analyst at the draft, and when
Yeah,
they drafted Dwayne Jarrett, Keyshawn Johnson's like, "Oh yeah, this is great. We needed one more receiver," and then they cut Keyshawn Johnson the next day or the next week or whatever.
that's right.
They got him to replace Keyshawn Johnson, and he never did anything.
I think like at the end of his like rookie and second year, he had like the last couple games of the year, because typical Panthers fashion, we weren't in the playoffs, so just put the guys out there. He would have these like really, really good games at the end of the year and be like, all right, so next year he's going to be a beast, and it never happened.
Dude, I know he caught passes because I guess I've seen the stat lines. I know he's done things.
Yeah.
I remember one play from Dwayne Jarrett, and it was him dropping a pass at the sticks. That's the only thing I remember about him. And I mean, I guess that summarizes his career, so that's cool. But that's the
Yeah.
only thing I remember about him is one drop
Um,
pass.
and then another one that I was completely wrong on. This is just a couple years back. Whenever we drafted McCaffrey, I really, really, really wanted Leonard Fournette. I thought he was going to be a generational running back.
Yeah, I wanted
I
Leonard
was
Fournette.
absolutely wrong.
I wasn't mad at the McCaffrey pick, especially
Yeah.
after Fournette had already gotten picked 4 picks earlier. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't mad at the McCaffrey pick. Before the draft started, I kind of knew that's probably who we were going to end up with because I knew
Mm-hmm.
Fournette would probably get picked first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did now.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know if I have a guy who I was, what was it that you said I was bummed out that we picked?
Or it could be either or, just someone that you were like, I'm glad we picked
Someone
them,
I
or
was
someone.
completely wrong about.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one real quick
Kelvin
while you think.
Benjamin.
Yeah. Which it's funny because he actually was good in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then it just completely went downhill.
Well, when it started out, I think because he was such a physical beast, he could use that. It was enough for him to get by.
Yeah.
But as time went on and he got lazier and fatter and slower, it's like it could only do so much. And what's funny about Kelvin Benjamin is this goes back to the whole Cam Newton never had help thing.
Yeah.
Cam Newton had turned him as a rookie into, a fringe, legitimate number one receiver. Or, people thought he was a legit number one receiver.
Yeah.
As time went on, it was like he was there. He was always dropping passes. And then the Panthers finally traded him, and it was almost like immediately our offense got better. And I was like, oh, my God,
Yeah.
he was slowing us down that bad.
It was it was crazy. I remember that. I remember they traded him, and everybody was like, "Why would we do that? He's our number one." And then we just all of a sudden once again Cam Newton with nobody
Yeah,
doing it.
literally nobody.
Yeah, little freaking Brenton Burson. I mean, just doing
Mose
the most.
Frazier, bro. Mose Frazier was out there catching passes. But what's
Exactly.
funny is Benjamin was like, put me on any other team. Put me on any other team. Went to the Bills, was off the team in less than 2 seasons.
Yep.
Then he went
Well,
to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and I think he caught one pass. He couldn't get
yep.
on the field. He couldn't get on the field with Patrick Mahomes, and yet Cam Newton had him as people thought a real number one receiver. So
And it's
take
funny
that however
because
you want it.
think about you remember the preseason game when he was on the Bills and he caught the touchdown, and
Yes.
and then him and Cam were like beefing at like
Yes.
midfield, and everybody was like, "Oh, the Panthers lost Kelvin Benjamin." That his career highlight with the Bills was that preseason game.
It was so funny because after he scored that touchdown, his head was so inflated, dude.
Oh yeah.
He dove into the stands. He was celebrating like they won the Super Bowl. And no, the best part is the corner that he scored that touchdown on ended up getting cut before the season started. I don't remember who it was, but he didn't even make the team. And Kelvin Benjamin was celebrating like they had just won the Super Bowl because he showed us up in the next game.
Oh my God. This one's kind of random. He wasn't even drafted. He was one of our practice squad pickups. You remember Kiaris Garrett?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he came in the same year as Jeremy Cash, and I felt the same way about both those guys. I was like, dude, Jeremy
Yes.
Cash is going to be a steal. This guy was a beast in college. You can move him
Yes.
all over the field.
And
Nothing.
then
And he was
Kiaris
like a
Garrett,
decent special teams player for like a year.
yep. And then Kiaris Garrett, I think he set like a bunch of records in college and was like, dude, this guy's a low key a
Yeah.
beast, but he was just slow as molasses.
He had
So
one really sweet touchdown catch in a preseason game, didn't he?
I think it was an almost catch.
Oh,
Like I think
yeah,
he
yeah,
caught
yeah.
it, but he ended up being out of bounds. But
Yeah, that's
people
what
were
it
like,
was.
"Oh my God, see what this guy can do!" And then it just
Yeah.
never happened.
That's kind of
So
how Omar Bayless is now on our team.
yeah,
He was an undrafted guy who had all these numbers, and people are, people still think he might be able to do something at some point. So we'll see what happens with him.
yeah,
But
we can
whenever
see.
we got him, it gave me serious, Kiaris Garrett vibes.
Yeah, same. And then one quick one here. Obviously, a guy that's no longer on the team, Vernon Butler.
Yeah.
I
I
because
was
I was
definitely
in
wrong
the
about Brendan Butler.
I was wrong because I was like, we already have a good defense. Let's get another defensive lineman that can play D tackle and get to the quarterback. Like this dude's a beast. Like let's make our defense even better. And a lot of people hated the pick, and I was like, you know what? We just went to the Super Bowl. Like we can pretty much pick whoever we want. Let's get this guy, see what can happen. And man, whew,
Yeah.
were we completely wrong?
Yeah. He was not I don't remember who I wanted at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
it's such a late pick. It's hard to even
but
remember.
once we got him, I was like, let's go. I was like, our defensive line's gonna be unstoppable, dude. This is gonna be awesome. And
Yep.
it's like, I mean, he's doing all right with the Bills though right now, I guess.
Speaking of the Bills, you predicted last week they signed Obama.
F.A. Obata.
Son of
I know.
at this point, it's not even like funny anymore. It's just like, really? Like you're just gonna take every single player we've ever had and just
Buffalo
resign?
Panthers, man. Buffalo Panthers.
Jesus Christ! All right, I'll trade all those guys. You can have all of them. You give us Josh Allen, then I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a fair trade to me.
Absolutely. But so I think we're getting ready to wrap it up here. Obviously a lot of draft talk here. Anything you want to end on? Maybe something we didn't talk about, or something you want to reiterate before we get out of here tonight?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm good. I guess I'll end with I wrote down Jarrett Brown. I guess to mention that maybe we could pick him up in free agency, which would be
Okay.
cool at
Yeah.
defensive tackle. And Kawan Short's still out there too, so a couple of options at
Hey,
defensive tackle.
if they've got the space, get him on a short veteran deal. Why not? If he gets hurt, well, cut the guy and move on.
Yeah.
See what happens. The last thing I kind of want to say is just I think the Panthers it does suck that they're not going to be trading up for the third pick, but I still think they're formulating a plan. They've got something going on. Either one of those guys are going to fall and we're going to pick someone, or we're going to get a very, very good player at 8 and we will make a move for someone else. My
Yeah.
prediction, what I think is going to happen is I think they will end up trading for someone else. I think if the Jets do draft quarterback, which I think they will, I think the Sam Darnold thing is going to become a very quick reality. And, a lot of people might be bummed about that, but I think it's better than what we have going on now. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And, I heard a draft analyst, and I think it might have been Mel Kiper, so it was probably wrong. But he said if Sam Darnold was coming out this year, he would have been the number 2 quarterback prospect. So
yeah.
there's different ways to look at things. I mean, just because they have him ranked as a top prospect doesn't mean they're going to be good. So, maybe it wouldn't hurt to roll with somebody who's been in the league a couple years and, see what happens.
Why not? And you brought up Mel Kiper, so I'm going to end on this point. There was a certain guy we drafted a long time ago that this guy was absolutely insane about, thought he was going to be a beast. And I remember when we drafted Jimmy Clausen in the second round, I was like, we are back. I love Jimmy Clausen in college. I thought he was great. And then I was like, we got this guy in the second round. Like, this is awesome. Like, finally, like, we got ourselves a good quarterback. Like, wow. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. It was like probably how Teddy Bridgewater would have been if he was in that John Fox offense. Dude, that man checked the ball down every play. It was
every play.
Oh my God.
And just throwing the ball out of bounds on like first down and just it was bad. It was really, really bad.
It's funny because every time I see Mel Kiper on TV, I'm like, he was supposed to retire.
Exactly.
He said he would be done if Jimmy Clausen wasn't good, and Jimmy Clausen was the worst thing that's ever touched an NFL field. He's not supposed to be up there anymore.
No, he shouldn't be. It just shows you, man, draft analysts, they do it all year round, but a lot of times they're wrong. So
I was thinking about it today, how funny it is that, like, that's their job. Because, like, it doesn't matter how wrong you are. It's like being a weatherman, but, like, times a million. Like, it's like saying it's going to snow tomorrow and then it's 100 degrees. It doesn't matter. You can miss by 1,000 miles, and it does not matter. Because that dude literally was like, I'm just going to make up this job where I, like, predict how the draft goes. And then he can miss on every pick. But,
doesn't matter. People still want to hear what he has to say. It's
the only one doing it because everyone loves the draft. Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got these guys that they make like 7-round mock drafts. So I'm like, why? Why? Like, I get you need something to get people to click on your page, but there is no way in hell you were going to get even 5% of these picks right.
Yeah. I mean, it's absurd. And it's funny because, like, all they're doing, it's like, because it's literally impossible for you to know everything you need to know about all those players to make that draft board. So literally all you're doing is looking at teams' needs and then just going, like, down the list and
picking them. Exactly. Because you have no idea that in the 5th round the Panthers are going to trade up to pick this guy. Like, no one knows. It just – I mean, I get it. Like, it's a fun thing to, like, look at and just bide your time. And, I mean, I looked at them, but –
yeah, they're silly, but they're just,
just something to do. I get it.
Yeah.
But as far as going that far, I've never understood that at all. But
yeah.
But
I forgot what I was going to say about that. Oh, well. I guess that means it's time to go.
All right, so wrapping it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We are starting out live on YouTube with everything. In the next coming weeks, we're going to get everything processed on different services to put everything up. Just give us some time. We're just getting this thing rolling, but I've enjoyed this so far. I'm glad that we've made it 2 weeks in a row. So let's see if we can make it 3. And I think this is going to be the start of something really, really special.
Yeah, man, it's been an awesome 2 weeks. Love talking Panthers with you, man. Let's keep it moving.
All right, next week we'll see you guys. This will be dropping on a Monday morning, so we record this on Sunday nights. We will see you guys next Monday, and I'm sure maybe we might have a better plan of what the Panthers are going to do at quarterback. So we'll talk about that next week. So we'll see you guys, and I really appreciate y'all tuning in.